Hello Aries, and welcome back to my Body and Heart Tarot Therapy. I'm here to do the reading for February 2020. I hope you're well, Aries. Here we go, 2020. A lot of shifts, planetary shifts have happened already. The Pluto and Saturn conjunction. We had some pretty intense eclipse season. We're all happy to start a new fresh cycle. Yeah, let's see how this is going to play out for you in February. So this is a general reading for Aries, Sun, Moon, and Rising signs. If it resonates, it resonates. If it doesn't, then it's just not your reading. Okay, we have the King of Cups as your current energy. The Three of Swords as your challenge. I saw this also when I was pre-shuffling before starting the video. So yeah, it comes through. The Six of Swords as your focus. Okay. The Magician as your advice. And the Queen of Pentacles as your future energy. Not bad at all. All right, and we have the Six of Wands as your underlying energy. The theme of your reading. There we go. And yeah, before I'm saying anything about this, I'm gonna pull out the clarifiers. Yep, it's Crowley again. Seems so. Okay, something did turn. We have the Fool with Eight of Pentacles, along with the King of Cups as your current energy. The Knight of Discs as your challenge, along with the Three of Swords. The Two of Wands with the Six of Swords as your focus. The Hermit with the Magician as your advice. And the Nine of Pentacles with the Queen of Pentacles as your future energy. And you have the Prince of Cups with the Six of Wands as your theme, the underlying energy, what we're working with this month, what you're working with this month, Aries. All right, so fire energy, which is your sign. We're gonna have a full moon in Leo, I think, in February. So just pay attention on what's going on with you there. But I think that what's really this about is about taking credit for your work, taking credit for your achievements, taking credit for your emotional expansion. I think it's the main theme here with the Prince of Cups. Or it's more like, yeah, you know, the Prince of Cups, he's see how this guy's just like flying here. There's a bird, they're flying over some water. I think those are lotuses on the water. He's having this I think that's an eagle sign on his head. So it's like air and water energy, right? So this has to do with your mind and with your emotions. And here is fire. Fire has to do with your spiritual understanding and your passion and your growth as consciousness, really. And sixes do talk mainly about service and about kindness and about expansion as well. So there's this expansive moment of yourself for yourself where you're looking at what is it that you've accomplished. And I think it's really, really important to take your count your personal growth here, how you emotionally matured in time, and maybe how immature you were at times, and how this is still an ongoing process. This is a prince, so it's still way to the king, but here we go, we're getting to the king just there. In the present moment, you have the maturity right now to look back at your emotional reactions in the past and take full responsibility for them, because they don't have power over you anymore. See, you've reached that moment of growth and transformation, and you're now able to celebrate it, like celebrate everything that you felt back in the past, and all your reactions and all your emotional cycles, and embrace them, and take it as a victory. Take it as a victory. Aries can be quite impulsive in terms of character. You can act on your emotions, not necessarily being very aware all the time about what's really going on with you or what's driving you. And maybe that served you well in so many situations. It's part of your nature. But maybe you've also outgrew some of those patterns, and you became more self-contained in a sense. Yeah, able to feel your emotions without having to necessarily react all the time. And when you do, you are able to look at it as a process, as a growing process, an expansion process, with the Prince of Cups here. Okay. So yeah, in the present moment, the King of Cups, you have the emotional maturity. You are able now to look back and to appreciate the hard work that you've put in with your emotional world, because you're in the position of this King of Cups now, where you really can feel everything that needs to be felt. See, like he's floating on this sea of um he agitated it, like these the sea symbolizes emotion, the water symbolizes emotions, right? But he doesn't, he's not conditioned by his emotions. Actually, to most people, he doesn't necessarily look like very emotional. He can come out quite cool and quite contained, and maybe even distant at times. But that's because he doesn't always need to show his emotions. He feels them, right? And he's very compassionate. He's very he's like fully aware of how his action and words can influence other people's state of being and emotions, and he knows how to work with that. He knows what needs to be revealed at this point and what doesn't. And with the Fool here, I think that this enables you to be in to start a complete new cycle here. It's like a leap of faith, that faith in you, that you are able to contain yourself, that you are able to sit with your emotions, that you are able to allow yourself to go from the king to the prince and keep this march going, knowing that you're doing your best, and knowing that everyone in your life is doing your best, their best. Nobody's trying to hurt anybody. Everybody's just too busy working with their, or covering up their own pain, or working with their own pain, or being self-obsessed about their own stuff. So whenever other people can be inconsiderate or unmindful in so many ways, they're not really trying to hurt us. They're just doing their best given the level of pain and trauma they carry in their own lives, right? So yeah, with the King of Cups here and the Fool, I think that you're enabling this new cycle of growth, and you are able now. It's like you matured. You really matured. With the Eight of discs here, the Pentacles. This talks about consistency and hard work. In this deck, it's called prudence. And yeah, maybe now you tend to be maybe less aggressive or less wild in your ways of acting or communication, maybe less impulsive. Did I say that already? Probably. um and you become a bit more prudent with what you let out, with what you put out there. It's okay to return back to the complete innocence. It's like being self-contained doesn't mean suppressing, doesn't mean that we never going, like we feel this huge need to communicate my anger or my some disappointment or this or that, but here I am just deeply suppressing it because I can't cope with it and I will hurt the other people if I communicate it the way it comes out. No, that's not what it means. You can feel with the heart of a child, you know, you can feel everything that is as if um just as it is, just as it is. Yes, I may be feeling anger right now, but I am able to contain that within myself, and I don't need to do anything for it or about it. I don't need to react. I don't need to be impulsive. I don't. Yes, I can use that energy to fuel maybe change in situation or in context or in just even transforming this energy to be constructive somehow, you know. Anger is a very, very useful emotion. It's very initiating. It helps change. It facilitates change. And it informs us of what is it that doesn't work for us. I'm just picking anger as an example. I'm sorry, I hope I'm not offending Aries out there. You're not necessarily always angry or reactive or so on. It's just the example that came to mind, but that can work very well with fear. That can work very well also with all other emotions that we carry. Heartbreak, disappointment, unrealized expectation. This is very liberating, actually. It's the level of maturity where you are able to really, really navigate your emotions at the best. And this prudence element is, I think, also something that you've learned. Your challenge. I think your challenge is to really align your mind with your heart here. You see, this is also like, this was water and air. Like cups is about water, and actually nights are all about the mind energy. You see, and also these birds talk about the mind, and this guy's like kind of hovering over this water. He's like flying above. So he's able to see his emotions from a certain distance. With the Three of Swords, it is all mind energy. There's no water, there's no cups, there's no anything else. Swords talk about the mind, and also three talk about the mind. One is the ground, the physical, the pentacles. Two is emotions, it's water. Three is the mind. So yeah, I think that being able to allow for this emotional growth and allow for this the like facilitate this King of Cups energy of full emotional maturity also gives you the opportunity to look at how you think about your pain, how you think about your what happened to you in the past, and how it gives you the opportunity to process. It gives you the opportunity to really align your mind with your heart. You see, these three swords here, actually, they don't hurt the heart. They pierce it because they connect. But it seems to be challenging, and maybe you're perceiving it more as actual pain, Oh my God, that happened to me. I was so heartbroken. Look at that. That's so unfortunate. We are learning from our experience, and some of us learn slower than others with this Knight of Discs here. But it's very transformative. And Knight of Discs, it's again, it's expansion, it's growth, right? It's going to check the land to grow the empire or the kingdom, or he's in his own journey to become a king himself. And with the Knight of Disc is like less in a hurry. He's like kind of static, actually. This Prince of Cups here, for example, is a Knight of Cups. He's like very engaged, very he's moving, right? There's a lot of speed there. This guy is like quite slow and defensive and so on. But I think that you need this time right now. You need this time to process, and you need this time to really look at how you mentally process your pain. What are the thoughts that come to mind? How do you what like? And it's not about controlling them. It's about allowing them to be, not telling yourself how to think, not telling yourself how to feel, not telling yourself too many stories around it. It's simply just letting kind of like the control of the mind and let it flow, and you learn information from that. So do take your time and look into like, okay, do I feel, maybe do I think about my hurt, like, oh my God, that really holds me back, or oh my God, that person hurt me so much, I should have never engaged with him or her. Anything of the sort, like how are you thinking about your pain? This is also a 3, so 3 talks about resolution. That's what I'm saying. It's like you go from 1 to 2, and you understand the 1 is the thesis, like, okay, I am, who am I? 2 is antithesis, who I am in relation to you. And 3 is synthesis, when you put this A to B together and you finally get your answer here. So it's a really healthy process. I do encourage you to stay with it and to allow for this expansion. This is also discs, so it's a it allows for an expansion on your physical realm. Like maybe you're able to take this emotional maturity and processing of your hurts and emotions into your workplace, and that allows you to bring much more maturity in the way you could, I don't know, relate to your colleagues or to your employees, or with your boss or with your clients, or whatever it is that what your work is about, and or how you manage your finances, or how you're spending your time, where you're putting your energy. This is a growth that it takes time, and very valuable. It's very valuable. And look where it's going, straight the king and the queen. So that's really good work. It is challenging. I'm not lying. Like the 3 of Swords energy is quite challenging, because it does force us to look back at our pain, and to check in with our mind without taking it as an authority, as a full authority. But that's when we relax the mind, when we stop telling ourselves what we're supposed to be thinking, and we just kind of allow everything to come, we kind of air off a lot of tension, and we are able to relax with ourselves. And when we relax, that's when like the wisdom drops. You're like, oh wow, now I see the connections. Oh wow, now I see how I've been holding myself back, or I've been feeling guilty, or I've been, I don't know, carrying this, I don't know what, limiting belief for this whole time. And with the 6 of Swords here, I think that you're finally moving away from this whatever pain or way of thinking about pain that you had before. You see, these very people up here are leaving behind a situation that wasn't great for them. They're moving on, and the waters are cool. They're traveling over the water, and there's no waves, there's no nothing. It's very so that means that there's a lot of acceptance in there. Okay, I've accepted that all this had happened for me, and the way I've been maybe acting or reacting in the past was also part of my process, part of my growth. I am able to celebrate this, and I am able to stay with, be patient with my process and go with it. And that allows you to simply move on. That means kind of letting go, letting it be. That's freeing you in a sense to keep moving. Two of Wands here is also talking about, okay, so what are my choices next? Where am I going? This is Mars in Aries, actually. This is Mars at home in Aries. And it's called Dominion in this deck. So I tend to read it more in this aspect of the dominion, like where are we becoming maybe controlling? Where are we needing to dominate? It's perfectly fine to want to be self-contained, but what is it that I can really control? Can I control what happens outside of myself? Can I control the weather? Can I control other people's reaction to me? I can make a number of predictions, and I can inform myself about, I don't know, what's the weather forecast, what's this, what's that, what's the, use my senses to feel into other people's mood if they're able to receive, I don't know what information and so on, but I cannot control that. So Dominion, it does talk about choices, it does talk about maybe it's time to look at what is it that you're able to control. And with this acceptance here, I think it's perfect. You finally maybe letting go of some need to dominate or to control the outcome of your experiences. The only one thing you can control is how you hold yourself. How do you hold your emotions, and how you're acting on responding to that. From what place are you responding? From a place of just being hurt and um, thinking that the world is out there to get you, or responding from a place that maybe this is not good for me and I don't need to be in this situation, so I can remove myself from the situation or move on one way or another. Or maybe this is good for me, I'm learning, I'm challenging myself, this is great, I want to be present with this. But yeah, check in the role you're playing in whatever, wherever, in whatever sector of your life this applies to you. And this is another 6. It's celebration. It's moving forward. Is going into service, and it's that place of kindness. There is kindness in acceptance. There's so much kindness and acceptance. It enables kindness. It allows us to be kind, and allows to both those that hurt us, and also to ourselves. We stop this constant struggle and need to control. And your advice is the Magician with the Hermit. So number 1 and number 9. The Magician it's number 1. You Aries, you're the first sign of the zodiac. An initiator, a beginning. You have a lot of initiating energy, and you are very concerned with who are you, who am I am. This is your thesis. The Magician puts that into the world. Who am I? Puts it into the world from within all the way outside. He's basically able to manifest who he is, be able to express it on all the mediums. It makes it a reality. But he does it knowing exactly who he is. He's the Magician. He has the understanding, the power, and the knowledge to use these tools in order to concoct his reality. We're all doing this. Most of the time we're not doing it in a very aware state. Okay, how am I really seeing myself in my environment, how do I want to affect my environment, what am I taking in, what am I putting out in terms of thoughts, how are we digesting our experiences, and we all constantly evaluating where we at um, in a relation to the world. But the magician is aware that he's creating this world by just by being fully aware of himself, because he's understanding the soul, the mind, he's understanding the emotions, he's understanding the physical, how we use our time and energy. He's understanding his spiritual path. He has the infinite here. Above his head, he has the knowledge, and he's connected to the sky and he's connected to the earth. So I think that your advice here is to come into full awareness and like make it simple. What am I taking in? What is the information that I'm exposing myself to? The people that I spend time with? What am I taking in? How do I feel about it? Your feelings are informers. They're literally informing you about how you what is good for you and what is not good for you. That doesn't mean good or bad in general. It's more about what works for you right now. Your mind is telling the story of that. Mind is constantly going to tell you the story between, yeah, as I said, where am I at versus inwards versus outwards. And the ones is putting all that together and creating the model of the belief system of who you are and how the world is. I hope that makes sense to someone out there, because it can turn quite confusing, I guess. With the hermit, again, as your advice, is the hermit is very investigative. He's the character, the archetype that goes out there on the top of the mountain in the middle of the night, and he brings light into those corners, and he does this from curiosity. He's like the sage. There's a lot of wisdom in there, and exploring and finding finding information. When you bring light into a dark corner, you are able to see what's hiding there, what's been there. It may be nothing at all. Maybe it's just the top of a mountain, there's just snow there. Or maybe there's some rocks, or maybe there's a tree too. You can't see it unless there's light. In much the same way, you bring this awareness into, and you're combining it with the magician here, and you're allowing yourself to create a different type of reality where you are emotionally mature, where you allow your inner child to express it himself, and you allow for this naivete, if you want. But okay, it doesn't need to be naive. It's not about naivete, it's more about innocence. Allow the innocent you to enjoy and experience the world, and bring some prudence also into the way you express your emotions and so on, and the way you look about the way you think about your experiences and how they affected you, and the need for power and so on. You're bringing in so much awareness with the hermit. Wisdom. I can't help but seeing the Cerberus here, which is, from what I remember from Greek mythology, was guarding the doors of hell. It may feel sometimes, we may feel a lot of fear when we want to go to search into these dark corners of our psyche. And we may think that we are hosting the devils there, all the demons of our inner underground. And maybe it's a good idea to have the time to spend the time to do some shadow work, and allow that corners of your psyche to be brought into awareness, because usually the devil is not as black as we think. It's just it's just a manifestation of our split psyche. It's something that we took away from our conscious awareness because we didn't like it, or because we demonized it. That's a very good use of this word. We demonize parts of ourselves with the mind of a 5-year-old, because that's when we start like really splitting, and we then throw away the key, and we put a Cerberus there to protect the gate, because we don't want to look there. It's scary, it's ugly, we don't like it. And it's usually some naive stuff. We just like, I don't know, my dad didn't approve that of me, or my mom didn't approve that of me, and I don't know how to deal with that. So I take that part of me, and I'm throwing it in that cellar, in that underground. So it's really, really deep work that you are you're gonna do this month. This is your advice though, so this is not something that's necessarily going to happen. This is something that you actively need to work towards, allowing this awareness, do that shadow work, allowing yourself to work with the basics of the element and the basics of your story. See how you tell your story, and then tell that same story without the story. How am I feeling? What did really happen? How am I processing this internally, not necessarily from the mind? That type of work. It's good work. It's really good work. Okay, the Queen of Pentacles and the Nine of Pentacles, which is gain here, as your future energy. And so you see this whole slow growth that comes with the Knight of Discs, is your challenges, you process your mind cycles, and you allow that growth to happen. It's only going to bring you like amazing stuff. The Queen of Pentacles, she's all connected with the earth. She's very abundant and nurturing and caring and loving. And look at this gain. She's like it's not a she in this other deck, is here, so she, but you know, you're opening yourself up to abundance. You're opening yourself up to be able to, for better use of your energy. It doesn't necessarily change how the people around yourself um are. It is not going to change that, but it can bring the opportunity. Because when we are aware of our emotional responses, when we are aware of the stories that we tell, how to come into full awareness and full responsibility of the world, that how am I seeing the world, and what am I letting in, and what am I putting out, when I'm aware of my progress, when I'm aware of my emotions and so on, I am able to relate to the world and to the people in my life, at work, and projects, even at home, in a much more harmonious way. Therefore, there's a lot of gain coming out of there. And this whole card, the Queen of Pentacles, she talks mainly about nurturing, being able to be this nurturing, practical, mother archetype, mothering ourselves, and being really aware of your contribution, and the value that you add to your teams, or to your friendship circles, to your family, to your environment. Really, that's really beautiful. That's really beautiful, Aries. And keep in mind, this is pretty much like these three are what you're working with. And these are coming as focus, advice, and future energy. So the challenge position is the one that I tend to pay most attention for in my own readings, because that's kind of like what's going to feel pressing, that pressure point. And that's with the focus and advice, it can really help you to work with that. If you find the guidance suitable for you, it doesn't need to be, if that's your reading, that's the point. Okay, so let's see what Rumi says, some wisdom of the heart for my dear Aries. What do we have here? Dance of the divine feminine. There's also here, I do see her, that Queen of Pentacles, a lot as the divine feminine. It's 42, which together makes another 6. All right. Let's read up a little bit. We have a long poem from Rumi that comes along with this card that says, if a tree could move from one place to another, it would not suffer the pain of the saw or the opposite oppressive wounds. If the sun and the moon stood still like the rocks, they could not offer brilliance. How bitter the taste of water would be if the river stopped its flow, remaining still like seawater. When the seawater rises to become a cloud, it loses its bitterness and pours the rain of sweetness. I'm thinking of this card a lot with all this rain and the perception of the Three of Swords. The general perception is about heartbreak and pain, right? And yeah, when the seawater rises to become a cloud, it loses its bitterness and pours the rain of sweetness. Nice. One more verse. I have given you only a few examples. You can figure out the rest. Break away from the self and enter the kingdom of love. Rumi. All right. Now let's see. What can I read for you? Oh, it's a really long read. Okay. Seems that you're feeling a bit unsettled, as though the ground beneath you is not so solid. This oracle comes to you with guidance. Your life may feel as though it's being tipped upside down. Perhaps you feel as though the great beloved in a feisty mood has grabbed your ankles and is holding you upside down and shaking you wildly until your skirt is over your head, or the pockets of your pants become free down of their contents, key waters dropping. The great beloved esteems you capable of so much more than being sure-footed and sensible right now. You need to accept this great invitation to dance. There won't be much rough housing going on. Okay, there's a lot of... So soon you'll be able to find your orientation, even if everything you have once held on to appears to be shimmering and is insubstantial. A mere dance of light rather than solid ground. This will become so easy for you because your orientation will flow from within, from the heart, and no matter what shifts and changes that take place around you, your center will remain strong. This is what the beloved wants of you. Such peace and relief it shall bring to you. But perhaps some shaking about is required first. In a case you are reluctant to give up some mainstays, unaware of how much they drain life away from your heart center. Okay, so this is quite I don't see that much crazy energy here though. I think it's only how you perceive this Three of Swords though, and how much you're allowing yourself to really go deep into this and to work with it. This oracle brings you this message. There is something you are holding on to. A person, a place, a thing, a belief, a vision. Maybe this pain. And you need to let it go because it wants to grow. It may grow and change into something utterly different, or it may grow into exactly what you're imagining. Whichever outcome, growth is happening, and you will find you enjoy the way much more with greater flow and support and less bashing of your head against the proverbial brick wall if you can let it happen. Don't worry if it seems as though your world is coming to an end or you are losing something you once loved. That's loss, and the Six of Swords can feel like that. And you're moving away towards something that was really important to you. This is just a shaking about of the great beloved to lead you into deeper, sweeter dance of divine being and becoming. Put your focus into your heart and realize you are more ready than you think. Now shake those hips, stamp those feet, close your eyes and clap your hands. All right. Well, I hope this makes sense to you, Aries. I really don't see this as coming out of too hard for you. I think that you have a lot of supportive energy. Yeah, Three of Swords is a bit challenging, but this is like also like the Oracle says, this is bringing you so much growth and so much relief. So it's a great process. It really is. I hope this was helpful. If you resonate with this reading, please like, share, and subscribe. It will really help other people that need these readings to be exposed to them as well. And yeah, may our practice benefit all beings. See you next month.